Carle is on the line. Carole, again, thank you so much for coming back on Fringe Radio a year later.
Yeah, I know. It was March 17th a year ago, and it's just amazing, and thank you. And I want to opine on that Chicago tune. It was really interesting there. I was kind of like, I was unstuck in time. It was like, it's old. No, it's new. No, it's, well, and it reminds me not only of old Chicago, but it reminds me of Steely Dan and Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did some, I know that, of course they did all their old stuff, and then during their heyday, when they were making their millions with Hard to Say I'm Sorry, and, when Peter Cetera was with them and what have you. And then they kind of went and did a lot of strange stuff. And this is a new album. They're coming out with a film about the history of the band. And so interesting, and how this album has actually been recorded on the road. You can actually go to chicagotheband.com and download a lot of these songs for free. They don't cost anything.
That is so good that they do that. I can't say enough about that. Once you reach a stature where you can keep the lights on, and
right.
Food in mouths, that's just, there's nothing more that, than other than huzzah.
Exactly.
That I can say to that. And Chicago, I don't mean to laugh. It's just that it's an R-rated kind of there's a wonderful David, what's his name?
Foster.
From Curb Your Enthusiasm. No. Oh, it's gone. Totally gone from my mind. Oh, no. But anyway, it's this fantastic film called Clear History, and it has a running adult joke in it to do with the band Chicago. But it's very funny. But no, Chicago is, they have an energy that, it's interesting. They had a maturity. I remember when they first came on the scene, it was like, oh, wait a minute, aren't these like really old guys playing this kind of like stuff that, is one generation removed from big band? No, they were not.
Right.
And that's why they're still around with that, with that same energy.
Yeah, this new album, I was watching part of the documentary. Lee Loning, who's their trumpet player, he devised a system with several Apple computers, and they have this rig that they take with them. And this album was totally recorded on the road. There's actually some videos how they made it. The horn section,
wow.
They recorded all the horn overlays at a hotel in St. Louis, and then they did the guitar somewhere else, and they did the percussion somewhere else, and then they put it all together. And it's to put out an album of their stature costs millions and millions, where they actually put this together themselves with an engineer they took on the road. I thought it was pretty fascinating. The album is outstanding. They've got all brand new. I think it's 12 songs, 12 brand new songs, all written by the guys, and wow.
Just and I knew. And what's the title of the album? I am not aware of it.
It's just called New Studio Album 2014.
Hey, could not come up with a title. Ha.
Yeah.
So just tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway.
Well, speaking of segue, studio music, Pat.
Sure.
I understand you have some studio music in your history.
I do. I way back when, at a different time in a place far, far away, I used to.
Right.
I was into the music industry. I never stuck with it, and now I strictly play for my own enjoyment, and that's about it. But yeah, I did. I worked for Hammond Organ. I did some stuff with Hal Leonard Publishing, and long time ago. And the music business, I believe, has changed quite a bit. I haven't been to a NAMM show in 30 years.
Wow.
But I watched some of the YouTube videos. That's the great thing about YouTube. You get out there, and if you want a sense of what something feels like, go ahead and just put it in, and you'll get a sense. So
exactly. Yeah, there's that, talk about groundbreaking. Yeah, you can actually get feedback.
Oh yeah, good or bad, but
right, good or bad. Exactly.
But no, I enjoy it. I do, but I kind of, when I have time, I play for myself, and it's there's nothing more fun than making music.
Once upon a time, and you know what? This is ridiculous. There's one of these, this thing. Okay. All right, Nancy Hayfield Burns wrote a wonderful book called Cleaning House, and it is a metaphor. Of course, it has nothing to do with mopping the floor, but it talks about, upbringings and hauntings by people and, how stuff is sort of like we're brainwashed to do stuff and stuff. And she has a concept she calls street mail. And this is stuff that you find or you stumble over, and it's kind of got like some sort of meaning that only you will know. And it is the mail on the street. Maybe it's a card in the grocery store parking lot or something, or it's a paper clip with sort of some sort of a card or a letter, an envelope stuck to it, and you try to make something of it. But I listen, this is how I segue this into you and music is I have been stumbling literally over this piece of street mail that has this thing that I wrote down over a year ago about you, and now, of course, when I really want to lay my hands on it, I cannot find it. But on it were these words, Janet Jackson. So you can fill in the rest of that.
Yeah, I can, but not on the air.
Not on the air. Oh, no. My God. All right.
No, and it wasn't Janet. It was Jermaine, her brother.
Oh, it was Jermaine. And you can't on the air?
No.
All right. Well, then, forget it. And then if I come across that piece
I don't know. You never know who could be listening or what lawyer could be listening or whatever.
And you are, it is, yeah, okay. It's that kind of climate in which in fact, yes, let's talk about, Give It Up and what was the rest of it? Got to Give It Up. And Blurred Lines. Hello. Yeah. And also there's incredible rich irony in the fact that those two titles were involved. It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. No, I did a lot of stuff musically. Back then things were a little bit different than they are today. Mm-hmm. Quite a bit different. But no, I've been on a few different studio albums and stuff, and like I said, I had an offer to actually tour to do a 2-year stint in Asia, and I didn't go. I decided to become. I was working as a computer programmer,
wow.
And I decided to keep my day job. I don't know. Sometimes I regret it, but then it's all the people that you meet, and we wouldn't be sitting here talking tonight if I did that.
I know. You think about that, and it's sort of like there's this thing that sort of happens, and it's all the possibilities, and it could go this way or that way, and I'm just talking. I'm not even including string theory. I'm just saying like right now with what we've got to deal with, and it's kind of like every decision has these ripples.
Right.
Even the little ones, and it's so hard to say. I mean, do I wish that I had taken this or that job? Do I wish rather than taking the ensemble job with the 26-week run and the sure paycheck? Do I wish I had taken the medium-sized role in that film that ultimately tanked and didn't make it? Well, no, actually not. But it's at the time you just kind of. It's one of the, we have this wonderful person in the chat room, Sky33, and she's got this thing she calls her inners, and oh my God, and this is it, and she just absolutely nailed it because it's your inners, and if your inners speak to you, and of course you have the option of not listening, but then, oh boy, yeah, you have to trust your inners.
Oh, you do, and like I said, it's do you go left? Do you go right? Do you back up? I don't know. We all take different journeys in life, but no, I mean the music industry is, it's crazy. I know when I was involved with it, and I had a very small part. I mean, I was an organ player from many years back, and I got an opportunity to work for. One of the greatest organ companies in the world, and help sell their products and display their products. And I know people in the business and the industry that that went and toured with them professionally, went all over the world at a very young age,
right.
And some now hold very high positions at different companies in the music business. And it just depends on what you want to do. But I guess as much as I love doing it. I don't know. I guess the reason I didn't go is I guess my heart wasn't in it enough, wasn't in it deep enough.
Yeah, well, quite obviously, because that's the proof is in the pudding, and it just didn't. The passion wasn't strong enough.
Right.
Yeah.
To me, family and friends were more important than being gone for, back then, you were gone for basically for 2 years with a couple of trips home, and heard about some of the horror stories
Oh, wow.
of working in different countries. It's interesting, the home organ market, for the older people listening.
Right.
The more mature
Okay.
people. I mean,
Yes,
I
tell us
remember.
about the home organ market, will you, Pat?
Right, exactly.
And you don't mean body parts, do you?
No, I
Okay.
don't. No, I don't.
Okay.
But way back when, think about it. Just think about it. Way back when, how people, everybody, you'd go in their house and there was the little spinet organ in the corner. Virtually everybody had an organ or a piano in their home. Way back when, and that
Right.
was a huge industry. It was ginormous. It was huge, and now, well, the kids can, they can download their little fun things on the computer, and they can, the stuff they can generate is just amazing. You don't need to have I'm not saying the talent, but you don't have to put in the dedication. And I'm not saying what's out there today doesn't take talent, because I've looked at some of this different stuff. Some of these people that are creating, like we had Ted Newsom, the Rose Phantom's been on our program several times. Ted is
Right. I like that guy, yeah.
yeah, unbelievable musician. All that, when you listen to his albums, that is him. That is him. Every instrument in there is played as him. And how he puts it all together with keyboards and computers and stuff, it blows me away. I couldn't do that. So I'm not saying by any means anybody that does that out there, but it's just, going back to the old days of learning the keys and the chords and the notes and how to transpose and read music and stuff. Those days are gone.
Yeah, and good, bad, or indifferent, because we really can't change that. And I'm sure there's still going to be a place for that, but part of me says, hey, wait a minute, cut to the chase, and let's rather than kill the spirit with this constant drone of weeks and months worth of, da 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 da. Okay,
right.
Let's bring it out, and let's have the composition, that the structure of the composition, the nuance, the very basic, and not only the very basic, but where can you take this? What can you invent? What's new about this
right.
that you can do with this by putting your finger on this note, or on this key that hits this cycling arpeggiato or whatever. And I don't know. I know that for the traditionalists and the people for whom it's very important to have cursive writing, and I'm not for throwing out, oh gosh, it's the baby with the bathwater. You don't need to do that. It's just that it's a nice alternative, and there may always, let's cross our fingers, Pat, there are always going to be people who will want to take the challenging, difficult route that music can be. In other words, the people who have that wonderful parallel, I am not one of them, more's the pity, the math-music connection.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. And again, there's just the technology, and the thing is, maybe you don't learn, with the piano with nothing there, but today with the digital pianos and the digital keyboards, now what you do is, instead of, like you said, instead of worrying about the simplistic stuff, learn how to use the technical stuff, because the computer can do a lot for you. And a lot of these bands and groups that are coming out today, I'm not saying there's some great musicians, because there truly are, but they're more and more, I kind of call it that, the Britney Spears factor.
Oh, please don't even get me started.
Right, sing into a mic and change it or turn it any way you want. But then look at, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the Academy Awards. Look at Lady Gaga now touring with Tony Bennett. I think she's an unbelievable singer.
And, I should pay more attention to her. In fact, that's kind of on my list. It's sort of like, it's not as though I, have any kind of platform, and I certainly do not debunk anybody. But I mean, I'm not a hater of Lady Gaga. It's just that I really don't know what she brings, and so before I say anything, I have to watch that. But but I can weigh in on Tony Bennett and his musical sensibilities, and the fact that he would even give her the time of day.
Right.
Speaks volumes. That's it. That's very telling. So.
Oh, I totally agree. I really think it. I really think it's a good thing. And I kind of wonder. I know we're kind of straying off. People are probably tuning in. What the heck does that have to do with UFOs? But
we'll try to bring it around, folks. We are weaving that tapestry of strangeness.
Right. We're working that way. But but I wonder. Now, a kid that I think, and some may agree and may disagree, I think this Justin Bieber has got a ton of talent. I think he's one of these, just like so many athletes, so many pro athletes and other musicians. I think he had no guidance. All of a sudden, he's some poor kid. Mom is barely making enough money to cover the food.
Right.
And he's the YouTube sensation. And all of a sudden, this kid's worth 40, 50, 60 million. It's just, the money is just raining down on him. I think he went crazy because of no supervision.
Right.
Probably got into the wrong circles. Now he's coming out of these circles. I wonder if he is going to look at the Lady Gaga route, because, think about her. She is now catering toward a whole new audience. A total, open one door and close the other. I wonder if you're going to see someone like him or others like him say, hey, that's the smart thing to do. The 18-year-olds have listened to me. Now I'll go let the 60-year-olds listen to me. And I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if that happens.
Right. Diversify.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be a very, it's reinvention. And, of course, the absolute masters of reinvention, the Beatles, that, and we've seen that before. But there is something about Bieber that is something compelling about his energy, and I wonder if he's even really found himself. I wonder, I'd love to just see him in front of a camera doing some sort of acting thing. And I don't know, this is just off the top of my head. It's just there's something about, I don't know, it sounds ridiculous, the inner Bieber, okay? But no, seriously, what is the guy all about? He would be somebody who could absolutely show us what it's like to have had those experiences. And see, that's the thing. I think he's kind of perfect, because I think that there are thousands of Justin Biebers.
Yeah. Oh, I think there are. I think there really are. There's some unbelievable U2 sensations out there. But, I don't know. Like I said, I was amazed when I read an article in the newspaper, and it said Lady Gaga to tour with Tony Bennett. I thought, what?
Yeah.
And I actually went and I YouTubed it, and I couldn't believe it. And then I saw her at the Academy Awards.
Right.
I know Stephen Sondheim wrote an article about how she made a mockery of Sound of Music.
It was a controversy.
Yeah, I think he just needs to go away. I think she did an awesome job, and she had her heart into it and did just fine, so...
I know that's really difficult, because there's part of me that is so deeply rooted in Rodgers and Hammerstein that when you say Stephen Sondheim, I think, oh, that new guy. Wait, but he does. I don't know. At one point he was cutting edge, and then it's the old guard, and it's the old guard versus the Young Turks. And the problem is, I don't think, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Back to the Fringe at hand here. Our good friend out on the East Coast writes a question in for us. Let's go ahead and let you answer it.
Okay, I'm ready.
It says, Fringy, after the music talk, ask Carole about potential upcoming Epic hosting and a pending interview for IRN UFO News. And I don't mean the Jesse Marcel, the third one.
Okay. Oh, I think I know who this person is. All right. Well, no. I am in this wonderful, thank you, Joe Champion. When he threw me this thing of, do you want to be part of the UFO headline news team? I said, but of course, and found myself in this hellacious. Now, this is a digression, but I assure you I will get back to the main question. I found myself in this hellacious situation of trying to master technology. Now, the joke here, of course, one of these little ironies of language is that my first entree, the first moniker I used, when I went into IRN chat for the first time, which was my first really chat anywhere, and last and only, and blah, blah, oh, but be gone. When I first went in, I used the name Techno Prisoners, as in take no prisoners, as in, oh boy, am I lost in this field. Okay. So when I got the UFO headline news assignment, I was lost because, my gosh, I had to learn the Audacity sound editor. Well, it was hieroglyphics, okay? And, I don't know. I mean, I had just this basic cursory knowledge of the computer. Cursory as in when it doesn't do what you want, you curse at it.
Right.
But I knew how to, research stuff. I'd been researching stuff for the Fox sisters, and spiritualism. I've been working on that for a long time. But basically that's, kind of stops with copy and paste. And so, but I learned this stuff, and it was really fantastic. And now, what was the question? My train has derailed.
Oh, it was not the Jesse Marcel interview.
Oh, okay, it's Jesse Marcel.
Not
Jesse Marcel.
Right.
Oh, not Jesse Marcel. Oh, my gosh, then where are you going with this? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, if it's not Jesse Marcel.
Ask Carole about the potential upcoming Epic hosting.
Okay, so Epic. Okay, all right. Okay, so then it trickled down to the point where Epic Voyages, which, ironically, is the first show I ever heard on Inception Radio Network, hosted by Jim Mars, and his dialect puts me away, our occulted history, and I hope he doesn't beat me up for that, but he just has this wonderful Texas twang. And so I was looking at a MUFON website, and in the corner it said, listen to something, Texas MUFON Radio. So I did, and it was something that was broadcast over IRN, and the rest, is why I'm talking to you right now. But the situation was that I found out there was this venue, there was this place, there was this entire situation that I did not know existed. And what was the rest of the question?
Well, pending interview for Iron and UFO.
Yes. And so, as a result of doing the UFO Headline News, I have been given the job of hosting and sometimes co-hosting Epic Voyages, which is the radio show that I heard Jim Mars doing. There we go. There's the thread. I think we can kind of weave that into some sort of little, tapestry of UFO stuff there, because that's what I'm doing now is, besides working on my own little show offering, which, has almost come to fruition, thanks to a lot of friends and a lot of support, I am going to be hosting Epic Voyages, which is on Monday night on Inception Radio Network, and I think it's rebroadcast on Dark Matters Radio, but I don't know the time. I believe it's on a Friday, probably in the evenings. But so and I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm it's sort of unreal the fact that I have the the authorization to then email these people and say, hey, how'd you like to be on this show? And it's fantastic. Epic Voyages, it's the Extraordinary Phenomena Investigations Council. That's what it stands for.
Interesting.
And it's really neat. The president is Ken Cherry, who at one point was heavily involved in MUFON, and the vice president is Laurel Blythe Tagg. And it's just, this is kind of, it's very surrealistic because I never saw myself, even though this has been a lifelong interest, I just didn't put it together. Number one, the non-terrestrial radio venue didn't exist. And number two, somehow I never thought of myself, even though I've got a great face for radio, I just never thought of myself, as pursuing it. And it fell into my lap. Gratitude does not even suffice. So.
Well, that's cool. Well, that sounds. So you're going to do that on a weekly basis then?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Well, actually, no. The show is on weekly. It's on every Monday. I will be doing it. There's a rotating host thing, and so I probably will be every 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, very good. Well, that sounds good.
And, it's going to be fun. It's going to be, I think what's going to be amazing is the idea. I think the big appeal to me here is to be able to put myself in that listener's capacity of they're sitting out there, they're standing out there, they're doing the dishes, they're, on a stationary bicycle. I don't know what they're doing. They're taking a bath, but they're listening to the show. And so what's going through there? What's triggering? What are the questions being triggered as they listen to this? Can I ask some of those questions of the guest that might be occurring to the listener? And that's, and I have to tell you that I've really learned a lot listening to you, Pat, because you just have this rhythm, you have this incredible ability to know without seeing it. That's something. There's no visual cue. You're not sitting where you can see when the listener stops talking. There's no way.
Think.
You don't get body language. You're running by the clock because you have breaks. and I should be paying more attention. But mostly, I think the ghosts just the ghosts. Well, now that's a Freudian slip. I meant guests. I was going to say the guests probably, just let you run. They just talk and you go by the clock. But
well, no, I again, everybody does their show a little bit differently. And as I mentioned in the first couple hours with Dan on the line, I've received several emails and from people in the chat room and what have you, in different places where we're heard. That'll say, well, why didn't you correct him on this, or why didn't you? It's like, first of all, who am I to correct anybody? Because, we're talking pretty fringy stuff here to begin with, and this is all going on personal beliefs and personal experience and stuff. I don't have anything hardcore to stick in anybody's face, but I feel that everybody has something to offer, and again, to get the guests on, to sit there and go with canned questions all night. That's just not me. There's other shows that works really well with. I think that you're better off to get the guest on the show, and as I ask all the guests, submit some talking points. Let's cover what you want to talk about. Not me throwing out zonker type questions to stun anybody. I don't believe in that Howard Stern mentality. Of throwing somebody under a bus or something, because who am I to do that? I'm nobody.
Yeah, no. Nobody needs blindsided stuff
But that's really common though in radio. That people say that makes good radio. I don't think so. I think that just makes you out to be a jerk. Maybe that.
Oh God, yes, it makes you have to be a jerk. Absolutely, right. Because. I don't know how. And here's the thing: it's even if you're the good guy who is going to respond to that, you want to take the high road. There's this thing that goes on, and of course the audience can hear that, and even if they don't know exactly what's going down, they know something's up. No. That and you're just you often and obviously advise the callers. To be respectful, because people are giving up their evening and and that's just a lovely thing.
It is about respect. We get every now and then you get somebody that wants to challenge somebody, and that's just somebody who's just they've got nothing better to do, or they've got their own issues. But I actually it is funny, but I actually did have which I will not mention. I did have a big time radio host on a program in a different state who I'm friends with, who has listened to the show many times, and he said, what you need to do, dude, because you've been doing this for 4 or 5. I said, we're in our 5th year. He goes, you need to turn it all around, get all those guests back on, and throw everybody underneath the bus, and just take it. He said, could you imagine the ratings? You just say, hey, I was luring you all in to begin with, and I said, no, that's not me. I don't do that. But there's plenty of shows out there. If you want to go find that, you can find it. But I believe everybody has something to offer, and I enjoy listening, not only talking with people, but I enjoy listening to what they have to say.
Yeah, and we can tell that, honestly, we hear that, Pat, from you. That's just that's an incredible gift, and Carole both, and the fact that the way you guys interact with folks is, this just sounds, scripted and cheesy, but it's real. You guys are real, and there's not a lot of that left.
Oh, I don't think there is.
And
there's no credibility. Well, again, if you're looking, you've been in the entertainment business, and anybody who's in the radio business, if you're looking for money in this, well, let me tell you, there's a lot of other things you could be doing with your evenings or your mornings or your days. Right. Yeah, I'm not saying. There are some people that. It's been posted publicly. Go take a look at what George Noory brings in. That's amazing. And I'm happy for George, because he does. He puts out a good show. He has good guests on. I don't like I don't like his political angle. He's taken a little too much lately. A little too much politics. But hey, that's what the dial is for on the radio. And you can push it and turn it if you don't like it.
Oh, that is so well said. That's absolutely it. Don't whine. Just change the channel. You
Right.
don't have to listen to this. And certainly there becomes, a time at which, there becomes a climate at which there's a time where you have to say, well, wait a minute, back up on that. But it's all I guess this is my rambling way of saying that it has to do with appropriateness.
Exactly.
And what is the thrust? What's your target audience? Who are the demographics? Who's listening to this?
Right.
And now I'm just going to segue. Not at all. Ding ding ding. This is a non-segue alert. But I just wanted to mention 2 UFO things that have happened in this last couple of weeks.
Fringe Radio on Saturday night with Carle. Thanks, Carole, for being here tonight.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
We had a bunch of, and my apologies, we had a couple of people call during the break. One of them I clicked over to and it hung up. I've had somebody calling in tonight. I don't know if they have an issue with their phone. I hear something that it clicks off.
Huh, interesting.
Anyway, real quick, let's go ahead and get another question out to you that somebody sent in. And of course, our good friend Durr out on the East Coast there says, ask Carole, as well as yourself,
Okie-doke,
what we need to do to get more young people interested in the UFO extraterrestrial subject. What are the views the two of you have to do that? We need the youth to get engaged.
Oh, I totally grok, as they say, that question. But you take it, Pat. First response.
All right. Well, I was on this show that they interviewed me, and I vented a little bit, and I'll vent again here.
Oh.
I think that while I totally respect the current ufologists, I still think to some degree there's a little bit of an old boys club out there, old boys and girls club, that's been there for a long time. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I have no problem with that. But I don't feel that there's any. I know that the interviewer didn't agree with me. But I think that there's just not a lot of people. Okay, when I mentioned that, I made that statement, their response was, well, there haven't been any events. Well, I don't think you need events. The events have happened, and I don't think they've all been researched to the nth degree. I think a lot of them have, but I don't know. I just think it's a little bit of a cliquish club. I think there's some of them that like to go out on the circuit and make a couple nickels and stay at some nice hotels and get up and talk, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not at all. I don't know. All I can say is that with programs like this, we can ask for young people to get involved. Maybe young people are listening, maybe they're not. I don't know. Maybe they just don't care. Maybe they're tied up in Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that. That's my thing. But I think there's a little bit of an old boys group out there, a cliquish group, and I think that I don't know. I think there's been nobody new to the table.
Wow. Well, that has to change. What can I say? I'm thinking about how it's this mentoring, this interning thing that has to happen. And this has gone on. For instance, there's a woman who mentors young people in ham radio. Carole Perry is her name, and she's someplace, I think in the New York area. And she has this big organization that you can find online, so that if you're a young person who has an interest in ham radio, they will, grow you in that interest and provide you with all this information. But the other thing is, as far as just ufology is concerned, I don't know. I'm not sure. Do we have a Star Trek that is, bringing kids to wow, I'd like to do that when I grow up. All the the Star Trek apparently is credited with inspiring all kinds of people who really went there and did that. Well, I don't mean other planets, but I mean in the laboratories and here on Earth and hooking up with NASA. And so I'm thinking about that. And, also the situation there, for instance, there's a woman called, what did she call herself? Abby the astronaut. She was on your show not very long ago.
Abigail Harrison.
Harrison, that's her last name. Okay, I could not remember. But Abigail Harrison, Abby the astronaut. And wow, I love to see stuff like that. Yeah. And certainly while that is not ufology, wow, as I stand here, I'm just like saying, I'm putting it out, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be great if there could be some sort of blending between SETI and NASA, ufology, and, astronauts, a little bit more than there is right now. That would be fantastic.
Well, I when I came across Abby, I reached out to her, and I think for a young girl, she's going to make it. I talked with her mom quite a bit before she came on the program because they're very careful, with interviews with her.
Right.
And
right.
and I called her up and I talked to her mom Leslie for probably a good half hour. And after we got off the phone, she said, "Oh, guaranteed we'd like her on your show." And because anytime they see paranormal or whatever, when I put out a request, I put some information in there. I've actually had some people that just blatantly turn me down right there. They say, "Oh, that's craziness," click.
Oh, I know they are. So they're frightened and hidebound, and,
right.
and that's sad. And
right.
hopefully that's going to change.
It will. So it depends who you're going after. Matter of fact, we've got a guest coming on here in April. We've got the head of the Orville Wright Museum coming on, and he's going to be on with us for 3 hours. He was,
that's wonderful.
Instrumental in rebuilding the replica Wright Flyer and is the leading authority. His name is Nick. I can't think of his last name, but he was kind of turned off when I first sent him a letter, and then got on the phone with him, and and we'll have him here. But yeah, you're right. Abby is very, very well versed, and for her age, she blew me away, and I hope that she meets her dreams because.
Oh yeah, that was an amazing interview. She is the old-fashioned phrase for what she is self-possessed.
Yes.
She just. Oh my gosh, she just really knows how to handle herself. She had a great vocabulary. She was. She had this confidence, and that's what's fantastic. She was comfortable and confident and enthusiastic. So, that's what that has to, in order to convey the passion. Those are the things. That's the equipment you have to have.
Yeah. And the other thing too is I just think with the younger people, it's a little scary, for them to step up to the plate. I don't know, but I think there's more. Again, there's plenty of podcasts out there. There's plenty of things going on out there. We're going to have the big convention here in the center of the state. There's plenty of plenty of places to go, and there's plenty of programs out there. But I would too like to see a new generation step up and carry on with this, because again, you've got a lot of the older people, and I'm not disrespecting them in any way, but we've heard the story enough. We need some new people to get out and tell the story, and some new people to maybe do these kids, they're so good with the internet researching and what have you. Maybe there's a little twist in some of these things that nobody knows about. Right.
And there's paradigms, they're not. There is no way in the world. And I guess this would be part of what is, used to be referred to as the generation gap. There's no way in the world that, let's go even younger than the millennials, and what are they called? I don't know. But they're not going to see things through our eyes. Why should they? And do we even really want them to? And because that's just, that's a maintenance of the status quo, and that certainly isn't going to take us forward in any direction.
Exactly. No, exactly. But I think the tide will change, and people are becoming more open-minded. Like I've said so many times, I hope that someday the whole world sees something that nobody can dismiss, and maybe that'll make us some of the pioneers in this field. You imagine how many radio programs would show up if that big saucer appeared in the sky tomorrow? Right.
If we had an Independence Day for real.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think about that. I was actually, no, okay, here's some strangeness. I was watching, what's the word, lenticular. I was watching a very large lenticular cloud today, and as it was, I was going back and forth to the second floor of my house. There's a little tiny balcony, and this was to the, it was to the northeast of where I live, and up over kind of vaguely in the direction of Mount Bald, Southern California. And it was a lenticular cloud, and it was there. Okay, and I went about my business, and I'm doing stuff, and I'm doing some yard work and trying to, cut back the yard because spring is really burgeoning. And I go back up, and 2.5, 3 hours later, this lenticular cloud is in the same place. Now, we've got ground winds, and I don't know what that's all about, but, just because of who I am and what I do, I'm looking at the sky. And as I looked then for the fourth time at this lenticular cloud, which is unchanged and in the same place, I think, okay, I'm going for the binoculars. I get the binoculars, And now I cannot speak to this with any authenticity other than from the top of the lenticular cloud going up was a jet, leaving this, typical jet contrail. It obviously came from below the cloud and went up over, but Pat, I just want to tell you, within the next 2 hours, the cloud, which was virtually unchanged, there were several other jet contrails going from probably, I would say it's in the direction of Edwards Air Force Base, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with the clouds, but it was kind of like, wow, what is this? What am I seeing here?
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it just hung around.
And as I say, there's a lot of I'm hearing, even as we speak, I'm hearing wind in the bamboo, and I'm hearing wind in the palm trees, and we had ground level wind for sure, and we had wind that was even up to the tops of the 40, 50 feet trees in the area. So
interesting
I don't know.
Stuff.
And I obviously have no real, meteorological or aeronautical kind of information about that. But it was just it was interesting to see the jets. Honestly, they looked like they were coming right out of the doggone cloud, and you could see how folks would say, "Well, I saw something coming out of this cloud." Yeah.
Maybe MH370s circling around in there.
Oh, my God, and what is up with that, or what's not up with that, yeah.
I'm going to throw a name out there for our listeners. We were talking about young ufologists. A gentleman we had on the show here about a year and a half ago, and I'm going to invite him back on. Jeremy Meteor is from Las Vegas. He put together a group called Bigfoot's Paranormal. He's been on Sci-Fi History International. He's given speaks. He's a young gentleman, very interesting. He's seen some very interesting things in the Nevada desert. He's been on Art Bell's. He's been on Art Bell's program. Several others. We'll go ahead and get him back on. But he's one of the younger people that's kind of jumping into it. Oh,
and this is really important because it's obviously we need. Now, and see, how do we do this, though, Pat? How do we get young blood, as it were, who are passionate about this, who are realizing that a lot of this, or maybe I just answered my own question, maybe because they are the young blood in this, they will know that this is completely computer graphics, and this is not real, and this is cut and paste, and there's no way this purported footage of a UFO is real. So maybe that's it. Maybe their technological skill, maybe we're not going to have as many of them, but maybe their technological expertise.
I agree. No, I agree. And again, these young kids, they can bring stuff to the table. Like you were talking about using Audacity. I've never used Audition. That's even worse, the Big Brother.
Oh.
And we've had a couple interns here at the station that, you want to do this, and this. They go, yeah, click, 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 click. There you go. Or go to YouTube and watch some of these young kids use Photoshop and do some amazing things, or Movie Maker or something like that,
Yep.
So we've got a few minutes left.
And then I gave the plug to Epic Voyages, which and UFO Headline News, and then somehow and somewhere over the rainbow and under the dirt, but not down as far as that dirt that's going, all the sinkholes that are up there going on in Siberia, there's Down the Rabbit Hole with Carle, which is, this show that is, hopefully going to happen.
Oh, very cool. I remember hearing about something like that.
Yes, and I believe that I kind of was sort of saying, say, Pat, how'd you like to do the proto show? And help me float this, and so
sure. Anything we can do to help our fellow Inception Radio folks out. And again, of course, we encourage everybody to listen to all the stations. But if you want a little change of pace from time to time, go check it out at InceptionRadioNetwork.com. Of course, we stream there. We appreciate all the great guests and people we've met through Inception Radio, being there for several years. Real quick, in 2.5 minutes, you worked with him very shortly. Leonard Nimoy. Boy, what a loss.
Oh, yes. He was amazing. I just want to say he just to be standing 2 or 3 feet from this man, his energy, I think that's the best way, his energy preceded him. And at that particular point, it's not as though I was starstruck, by who he was, even though, of course, I had watched him on Star Trek. It was just this feeling of, whoa, this dude has totally got his feet under him. He has legs. He knows what he's doing, and that's really fantastic when you're, shall we say, day player, which is what I was at that point, and you're not part of the ensemble. You don't know the rhythms of the actors. You've watched the show, and in fact, that was this really humorous thing. Sometimes you'd get a call in Hollywood from a friend who would say, your TV set's working, right? Right, yeah. Okay, can I come over and watch some show, they would mention? Sure. And I've got a part on it Monday, and I've never seen it before. I know nothing about it, so okay. And they'd come over and they'd get watch it, get the flavor of the show. Well, I had a flavor, certainly, of Nimoy. And so I was able to not be, totally intimidated. He was really incredible. He was gentle. He was reaching out. He would absolutely make eye contact, which is an issue, for sometimes a newbie actor kind of like, wants that. Sometimes the big guys just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't give it to you. They just wanted to. They were thinking about lunch. Okay.
Yeah, just a genuine, nice person.
Yeah, he was a very nice guy, and it was really humorous. At the end of the scene that we shot, the character got into a limo and took off down an alley, and hiding in that limo, kind of on the back, on the floor of the limo, was Nimoy's son, who was there to watch the shoot, who was really getting a kick out of hanging out with Dad.
Very cool. Carole, thank you so much for being here tonight. And,
hey, Pat, anytime.
We'll have you back again, and we'll look for you headline news in your show that's coming up.
Absolutely. Down the Rabbit Hole with Carole, God willing, and the creek don't rise. And thank you, and listen, love to you and yours, Pat. You are really something else.
Well, thank you very much. Take care, Carole.
You too, Pat. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.